everybody, it's Shelly Olds here in the studio. I'm getting ready to start a new piece, and I decided to focus on an Italian glaze pottery method called Majolica, which dates back to the Renaissance period. It is decorated in colors on a white background, depicting historical and mythical scenes, called istoriato, which means painted with stories. So if you're ready, let's get started. So now that I've coned 2 or 3 times, I'm just going to check it and make sure that I'm still centered again. And then I'm just going to flatten the top right here. And now remember, water is key. Anytime it starts to pull just a little bit against your skin, you need to add water, because just that little amount of pulling can throw your pot off center. Now I'm just going to keep using the sponge, pressing down in the center and just kind of pulling outward. That is going to make this plate. I'm sure you've figured out what I'm making by now. I'm going to make a little plate, but that's just going to continue to pull this plate open out towards the edge. Now what I'm doing is just using the tips of my fingers right here. And I'm going to press downward right in the center. Use your other hand as your guide. And I'm just spreading that clay outward towards the edge. Just kind of move your hands. Remember, if it starts to get sticky, just stop real quick, add a little water, and then just continue. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press down and pull one last time, real steady, out towards the edge. Start heading out towards the edge like this. Just keep your hands steady when you do this. Now let's look at the edge. See how thick that is right there? I mean, it's attached all the way. This is a huge footing down here. So what I want to do is pull this out slightly. So I'm just going to wet it. And I'm going to take my fingers and I'm going to just cut into the edge, to the bottom right here. See that? And that starts making my lip right here that I'm going to pull out. Okay, I'm going to get a little bit of water on there, and then I'm going to slow my wheel down. And then I'm just going to make sure you're linking your hands right here. I'm just going to slowly, with the wheel slow down, slowly start pulling outward like this. Just a little bit. You don't want to overdo it, or else your whole plate will collapse on the edges. So I'm using my favorite tool, my rubber rib, and I'm just going to steady my arms on the top of my legs. I'm just going to clean this thing up. Notice how the rubber rib is curved, and they make it curved like this so that you can use it in the inside and the outside of pots, so it's a perfect tool. And it's also bendable. That's what I like about it. Then I'm going to use it out here, clean a little bit on the bottom right there. Just a little bit of that slip that got on there. See, that's all slip right there. It's nice wet clay. And then I can go ahead and take, this is just a chamois that I use, a piece of chamois. Just gently clean that rim off with that chamois. See how that cleans it really nicely? So here's my plate. I'm gonna need to let it dry for 8 hours. I'll trim it up tomorrow, and then once I get it bisqued, I'll bring it out, and then I'm gonna show you how I'm going to create a Majolica design right here in the center. So my plate has been bisqued. This is what it looks like. I went ahead and added a cute little design on the back. Can you see that? All I'm going to do now is use this. It's just a white clover overglaze. And I'm just going to put 3 coats on this. Let those dry, and then we'll go into the Majolica. So here's what I like to do. I like to take the first 2 coats, let them dry, and then on my 3rd one, I just go ahead and apply it like this real quickly. And I know I'm gonna create a design right here in the middle. So I'm gonna apply it, and then I'm gonna place that down, and then I want you to see what I have here. I've got everything all set up. I've got my underglazes set up, and what I'm gonna do is get those on here before this dries. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm just adding some petals. I know that I want to do some sort of like floral design here, and I'm just going in with this red and I'm just adding petals on here. You might need to plan it out a little bit more, but I just want a free flow going on here. Okay, so I'm just going to do this to start with. See how the colors are mixing together here? So what I'm doing here is just going with it, you know, and just painting on here. These colors are blending and mixing, and this is what the effect looks like. I mean, it's going to look like a watercolor, basically. So the colors really need to blend and mix, and that's why that white glaze underneath is still wet, and it looks so much better when it's wet. But I can also go in with white like this too. You just keep on adding a little bit of white. See that? How that brings those petals forward? And I just add a little white to them. Makes a big difference. Okay, then before that white dries, I want to go back in with other colors because I want to mix this. So I'm kind of like tinting this turquoise. It's like a turquoise color. I'm tinting this turquoise color now with the white because the white is still wet. So what I've decided is I like the red, but I really like this turquoisey color more than the red, basically. So I'm coming in and I'm gonna cover up some of that. But you know, if you think of color theory, red and blue makes what? Purple, right? So these areas, I'm gonna get some hints of purple, aren't I? Because this turquoise and the red, they're mixing. So that might be kind of cool. You just need to know a little bit about color theory here. So now what I'm doing is trying to define the petals because before I added this white right here, those 2 petals blended in and mixed. I need to know which petal is in front of which petal, okay? So I need to make sure that I know, okay, this petal, I want it to really look like it's in front of the other one, so I'm gonna add some white to it to bring it forward because whites jump out at you and darks recede back into the space. So I need to go through and do that real quick. Kind of going back and forth between adding a little bit more blue and a little bit more red, adding white so that I can get more pinks because white and red makes pink. But then here's something else you can do. You can take, I've just got a little bit of overglaze in here. You can also play with the overglaze. If you feel like you added too much underglaze, you can go in like this with the overglaze and start and begin to maybe mix some overglaze with the underglaze. So why am I doing that? Because remember that Majolica, the colors are supposed to mix, the underglazes are supposed to mix with the overglaze, and it's supposed to still be shiny in the painterly effect. But you can overdo it and add too much underglaze, and if you end up doing that, then it's not glossy. So you definitely want to kind of be thinking that way. And I've added a lot here, so that's why I started to add a little bit of the overglaze to counterbalance that. So now that I'm finished with this piece, this next portion is just for my students, really. This is your record keeping. So I have my students have a sketchbook with them where they have to record all of their glazes. So this is the time that you would get all, before you put these away in the cabinet, I need you to write down, these are all Amico glazes. You need to write Amico, the name of the glaze, and the number in your sketchbook for your record keeping. So I think I'm finished. It's time to fire it. Now remember, this is a bisque piece. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in a high fire at cone 05. And when I get it out, I will show it to you so that you can see the end result. So I just took it out of the kiln. Here it is. It looks so cute. I went ahead and added just this little splash of color around the edges before I stuck it in because I felt like it needed just a little bit more blue. But I really like it. I love the blending and the mixing. Thank you for doing Majolica with me, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe, and I will see you next time in the studio.